I am currently guilty of overwatering my indoor pepper plants. These fellas right here. It's something that can be easily done off season when growing indoors. It's finding that balance of moisture when we have fewer hours of daylight. And when we do get that daylight, what is that? Is it a strong sun, or is it clouded by rain, fog, snow, which is very common here in Newfoundland? So there are signs on these plants right now, and I thought I'd show you them and just talk about it. So what do I look for when I'm monitoring my plants? Looking for wilting, but that can be from underwatering or overwatering. Difficult. I'm looking for brown spots on the leaves, which can be from overwatering or underwatering. I'm looking for yellowing leaves or new growth falling off, definitely overwatering. And ensuring the soil doesn't have an odor, a smell, a rotting. So let's look on my plant here and see what I've got. Why I find this so difficult to determine is, number one, this is in a pot with no drainage. I'm aware of that. So I know I have to make sure. Because I know it's not going to drain out, that I know I have to have a balance. These are large plants. These pepper plants have grown beautifully for a long time. I've been cutting them back quite a bit. But they still must have a good sized root ball in there. They're still producing peppers and new ones coming. Various. There's one there, I think. Yeah. But I've been getting the browning on my leaves. Now the wilting is pretty easy for all of us. When the plant is wilting, it will actually look soft if it's underwatered. You know, we've all seen that. We've seen that in our gardens when the sun is just drying things out. But it can also wilt because the poor thing is struggling and dying if it's overwatered. But it's a fine line. Know the difference. I'm just looking over here, and here's a new growth that just didn't make it. See that little leaf? So that didn't even go yellow. It just went brown and fell off. So the browning of the leaves, if they're crunchy, that's more the dryness, the underwatering. But mine are still green and, you know, almost certainly not crispy. So likely overwatering. Now I don't really have yellow leaves. If I did, I'd know pretty much right away that's overwatering. But I do have new growth that's falling off, which is also overwatering. There's one right there too. They're just dropping. Now the soil is really dry on the top because this is a large pot. We all know when we have big house plants. I've got an umbrella plant, I've got a lemon tree. Very, very difficult for me to know what's going on all the way down there. And they say to stick your finger in 2 inches. Well, that's not good enough for large plants, old plants in big pots, is it? Now, I tried to simplify my life recently, and I went and bought a soil moisture meter, which I'll stick in right now, actually, just to show you how it's helping me. So here's my moisture meter to help me. I bought the one with the long probe because I also want to use this not just for these big pots, but for out in my garden beds where my garden beds grow on a slant, and on one side they're very deep, and that is where I like to grow carrots and parsnips, and I never know what's down there. Again, the 2-inch finger test doesn't work. So I'm going to stick this in. I bought an analog one also, not the digital. And here you can see it's just on the high end of the moist. It was a couple of days ago wet, not good. So I actually have stuck this through a bit just to try to aerate, to make sure the roots, you know, always good when you think you've overwatered, to get some oxygen down to those roots. So I think that's going to take some of the guesswork out for me on when it's time to water. I'll put a link for that. If you've got any tips or tricks, let me know. I'm certainly not always doing a great job, as these poor pepper plants are showing me. Anyway, that's it. Take care. Thank you so much for watching.